Go to any Alpine pass, any ferry queue heading south, any lay-by full of tourers on a Sunday morning, and there is a fair chance the bike doing the visual heavy lifting for the whole category will be a BMW GS. Honda have the Africa Twin, Ducati have got the Multistrada, Triumph have got the Tiger, Yamaha's Tenere, the Honda Transalp, KTM, and yet the GS still feels like the one everybody is measuring themselves against. The question is why they became the centre of gravity, and why they still feel like the benchmark when this class is still full of plenty of other good bikes. To understand that, you have to go back to the late 70s when BMW badly needed a new answer. The bike market was booming, but BMW wasn't really on that wave. The Japanese brands looked faster, newer and more exciting, and the Boxer engine was starting to feel, well, old hat. Then came the insight that basically built the whole GS story. Only 2% of the kilometres in the endurance market were on difficult terrain. The other 98% were roads and unpaved routes. In other words, most riders liked the idea of off-road far more often than they were actually deep in it. That is why the original R80 GS matters so much. It wasn't a dirt bike with lights. It was a proper big motorcycle that could do distance, cope with rougher ground, and still give you the sense that you could point it somewhere ridiculous if you wanted to. BMW tested the prototype across Ecuador, from rainforest heat to Andean ice, then unveiled the bike in Avignon in September 1980. At 167 kilos dry, it was the lightest motorcycle in the 800cc class. So the first GS didn't show up as a compromise, it showed up as a new type of bike, and people got it straight away. The early reaction was unusually strong, with testers basically seeing it as a bike that could handle any terrain. By the end of 1981, BMW had built 6,631 of them, more than double the original plan, and 1 in every 5 BMW motorcycles sold that year was in fact a GS. Then Dakar turned it from clever to iconic. Hubert Auriol won Paris-Dakar on a BMW in 1981 and again in 1983. Gaston Raya followed with wins in 1984 and 1985. So now BMW had something no rival really wants you to have. A bike that already made sense in the real world, but also came with proper desert mythology attached to it. And that changes how a motorcycle is understood. After that, the clever bit was not losing the plot. Plenty of brands can build a one-hit wonder, but BMW kept sharpening that same core idea. The R1100 GS in the 90s was faster, it was torquier, more sophisticated and easier to trust on the road. Tail lever helped keep the front end calmer under braking, ABS arrived, a catalytic converter arrived, and it was still a touring enduro, not a gimmick. In its first year, around 9,500 were built. And again, 1 in 5 BMW sold was in fact a GS. Then BMW leaned harder into what owners actually wanted: range, carrying ability, comfort, protection, and a bike that looked ready to cross a continent before breakfast. Speaking of luggage and accessories, you can head over to motorplanet.co.uk, enter your reg and browse any kit with a guaranteed fit. Back to the video. The real breakout bike for BMW though is the 1200. In 2004, BMW took roughly 30 kilos out of the GS, made it sharper, more alive and more agile, and still every inch a GS. Then the adventure version doubled down on the long-haul promise with a 33-litre tank and roughly 750 kilometers of range. Barely 3 years later, BMW had built the 100,000 R1200 GS. In the UK, the combined GS and GS Adventure registrations in 2006 were enough to make it the best-selling motorcycle in the country. And then the culture swung BMW's way when Charlie Borman and Ewan McGregor's Long Way Round put 2 R1150 GS Adventures in front of a huge audience and made the GS feel like the bike serious people chose when the road got long and the plan got vague. That trip covered around 30,395 kilometers in 115 days, turned into a BBC series shown in lots of countries, and gave the GS something even the best marketing in the world cannot buy: witnessed credibility. Just as important, BMW didn't leave GS as one expensive halo bike. The Funduro was a sales hit in the 90s, the F650 line brought in younger riders and more women. Then BMW kept building proper depth below the Boxer bikes, so GS stopped being one model and became a ladder. By June 2023, BMW had built its 1 millionth Boxer GS. And the live numbers say BMW are still right at the centre of this. BMW sold 202,563 motorcycles worldwide in 2025. The two highest volume models in its entire range were the R1300 GS Adventure on 33,570 and the R1300 GS on 32,555. In Germany, BMW finished 2025 as the #1 motorcycle brand, and the R1300 GS was the best-selling bike in the whole country. Now, there is a real counterweight to all of this. BMW do not own every version of adventure riding. If you want lighter, cheaper, more dirt first, or simply less intimidating, there are very good reasons to buy something else. A Tenere 700, for example, makes a different promise. An Africa Twin makes a different promise again, and the Transalp hits a different price and accessibility point. And BMW clearly know that as well, which is exactly why they're pushing further into the mid-capacity A2 end of the market with the F450 GS. So the dominance is broad and structural, but it isn't absolute in every niche. But if the question is why BMW are dominating the adventure motorcycle market, the answer is pretty clear. They understood earlier than most that this class was really about road miles, distance, comfort, luggage, poor surfaces, confidence, and aspiration, with enough off-road ability to make the promise feel real. Then they gave that Formula Dakar credibility, refined it for decades, wrapped it in an ecosystem, and widened the range so more riders could buy into it. That is why the GS isn't just a successful bike, it is the shape most people now have in their head when they think adventure motorcycle. And that is also why so many rivals still end up being judged against the GS, even when they're trying to do something different. Let me know what you think BMW got right here and which adventure bike you would actually buy with your own money. Please don't forget, like, comment and subscribe. Please subscribe, it really helps the channel out. I've been Liam, we've been Motor Planet. Ta-da.